I betrayed my wife and now she's dating my best friend. I'm posting this from a throwaway account since both of them know my main. I'm not sure if this is the best sub for this, so if there's any other ones that I could also post in, let me know. I also apologize in advance for my formatting because I'm not good at typing long posts. Okay, let's start this off with some background information. Me 25M and my wife, we'll call her Emma 24F, have been together for 5 years and married for 3. We have 2 kids together, 4M and 2F, and I've always been the one working while she was a stay-at-home mom. The other important piece of information here is that I've known my best friend, we'll call him Richard 24M, since we were in kindergarten and we really became close around sophomore year of high school, so between 15 to 16 years old. And I'd say around 6 to 7 months after me and Emma got together, the two of them became friends pretty quickly, and it was nice because it meant that we could all hang out and be comfortable together without me having to split my time between them both. We started a group chat for the 3 of us to talk, and throughout the years of us being together we would go back and forth from talking to each other all the time to months without speaking to him. I never really worried about anything happening between them because Emma was the one that started the group chat and I trusted her and knew how much she loved me, so I wasn't worried about the two of them talking privately or anything, and because Richard was my best friend and he never even mentioned the possibility of him liking her. Now fast forward to a year or so after we got married, my wife was pregnant with our daughter and we had just recently moved, so I had gotten a few new jobs that didn't pay as well as we wanted them to, so we were struggling for quite a while. Needless to say, there was a lot of stress for both of us towards the end of her second pregnancy. I want to preface this next part with me saying that I know what I did here was wrong and I regret it every single day. I am not trying to make excuses for any of it, but it's an important thing to add. With all of the stress and everything that was happening, I started to watch a lot of porn since me and Emma weren't having sex as often. It started out relatively normal and then became an addiction that led to me saving nude pictures to my phone from some girls on here. I didn't talk with any of them or have any intentions of cheating on my wife, but I did still betray her by looking at and keeping the pictures. I know how self-conscious she was during her pregnancy and afterwards because she wasn't able to lose weight and she didn't find herself attractive anymore. I told her every day how beautiful she was and how much I loved her, and I never got upset with her for not thinking she was beautiful or for not wanting to have sex as often. I have never found her unattractive or lost my love for her even now, but that didn't stop me from doing what I did and keeping it a secret from her. I kept the secret for almost 2 years, and while I didn't look at the pictures that frequently, I still did way more than I should have. Now at the end of August last year she found the pictures and confronted me. I tried to dance around it, but I knew I couldn't keep lying to her. After we argued for a while she told me to grab my things and leave, so I did. After I left she removed herself from the group with me and Richard, and she called him to tell him what was going on because she didn't know what to do. She had also called her family and some other close friends before she called him, but he was her best friend too at this point, so I had no issues or anything with her reaching out to him for support, and I was glad that she had someone else to talk to that she could be more open with. After a lot of back and forth I went back to the house with Emma to help her pack everything so we could move back to where we originally lived since our families were here and we would have more help. We have gone back and forth about our relationship multiple times and if we would get back together since all this happened, and we decided that we were going to take time to work on ourselves individually, and we agreed not to talk about the possibility of us getting back together for a while. Now another thing is that Richard has been talking to me and Emma separately since all this happened, but he has talked to Emma almost every single day and he only talks to me every now and then when he's not busy. He also lives a few hours away from us now, so on the weekends while I have the kids Emma has been going to his house and hanging out with him most weekends. The first few times she went neither of them told me because they didn't want me to think that anything was happening or get upset, but I found out pretty quickly each time and I did get upset, but Emma assured me that it was strictly platonic and she didn't have feelings for him. Richard told me the same thing several times, and so I trusted them and they started letting me know when Emma went to see him. During all of this I wanted to see him too since we've been friends forever, and I was extremely depressed with everything happening, so I wanted to spend time with him too. Every time I tried to plan something with him he was always too busy, but he was still able to have Emma go see him most weekends. As far as I know from both of them nothing happened when she went to see him, and the times that she would spend the night there, he would sleep on the floor and she would sleep on the bed. Now like 3 weeks ago Emma went to see him again and they had planned it out because it had been a while since she had seen him, so again I trusted them both enough that I wasn't worried about it. She left Saturday morning and came back Sunday afternoon to pick up the kids before going home. I learned from both of them afterwards that Saturday night they were both drunk and Richard confessed that he was in love with Emma and that he had been for a while. He said that he never wanted to say anything because he was worried about how I would react and he cared about our friendship and their friendship too much to say anything that could ruin them. But something about that night and them being drunk changed his mind, and Emma was surprised, but then she said that she loved him too and they kissed and cuddled that night. They agreed right away not to tell me until the time was right because they were worried that it would send me spiraling. Sunday afternoon when Emma came to get the kids we talked and she said that I should try and see if Richard was free and wanted to hang out with me, so I asked him and we made plans for 2 weeks from then. Apparently that next weekend Emma went back to his house and he asked her out and she had zero hesitation with saying yes. The week after that was the same week that I was planning on going to see him. My plan was to go to his house Saturday morning and maybe stay the night and come back Sunday. One day when me and Emma were together I accidentally saw her messages with Richard and saw that she gave him a little pet name with a heart next to it for his nickname. She didn't know that I saw it, but naturally I got upset, and seeing that made me start thinking all these negative things, and she could tell that I was upset, so she asked me if I wanted to talk about it. After going back and forth with her I decided to tell her that I was just stuck in my head overthinking, and then I saw her phone and it made me start overthinking even more, and when I mentioned her phone, her eyes got wide and she looked down and said that wasn't how they wanted me to find out. I asked her what that meant exactly and she told me everything. She also told Richard that I found out and he started getting upset because he wanted to be the one to tell me and he didn't want me to be mad at him or think that he was a bad friend and everything. Emma convinced me to call him that night to hear him out, and she asked me not to be rude to him or say anything mean because he was already feeling like shit about it, so out of respect for her, I called him and listened to him. He told me that his plan was to wait until that weekend when I went to his house to tell me in person so he could explain himself better, and he didn't know what to say now, so I told him to tell me how he planned to before. He told me that he was in love with Emma and he never thought that she might feel the same way, so he didn't want to say anything. I asked him how long he knew that he had feelings for her and he said since me and her got together. But he tried to justify it by saying he didn't know how strong his feelings were until we split up and the two of them started talking and hanging out more. Needless to say, I didn't go to his house that weekend and I told him that maybe we could try to plan something else at some point in the future. I've been able to have some time to think about everything and I have blocked him on everything, so he has no way to contact me directly anymore. I didn't say anything to him about blocking him or anything, and I've told Emma that I will be respectful to him if he's around our kids and I won't say anything bad about him to them, but I wasn't going to speak to him again unless I had to, and it would be the shortest conversation. She told me that if I did get mad at him and try to say something mean to him that she would block me and would only talk to me about the kids. She also said that if I forced her to choose she would choose him over me. Honestly, I don't know what to do and I don't have anyone else to talk to because Emma and Richard were the only ones that I felt comfortable talking to when I was upset and depressed. She asked me not to say anything to anyone else about them being together because she didn't want anyone else to start saying anything bad about her, but I've talked to my therapist and 2 of my other close friends that don't talk to Richard or Emma. I've managed to lose both of my best friends in such a small amount of time and I feel very empty and alone. Emma doesn't understand why I hate Richard and think he's a terrible person, and she always tries to justify it and argue with me about it, so I've stopped mentioning it to her. I just feel like a complete idiot because I always thought that he liked her, but the 2 of them always made me feel like shit for thinking that. Emma always said that she wasn't attracted to him at all and she could never see herself being with him. Richard told me that he wasn't attracted to her and that he would actually help make sure that if she did move on and start dating someone else it wouldn't be someone that was close to me because of how awkward it would be. He knew how much I still loved her and how I would do anything to be with her again. He knew how depressed I've been without her, and he was the one that always listened to me when I was spiraling and when the negative voices in my head would get too overwhelming. He knew that he was in love with her for 5 years and never said anything to me even after he told her.